Chaos in the market. The alien market was loud, crowded, and full of strange smells. Traders shouted, lights blinked, and alien creatures from every corner of the galaxy pushed through the chaos. The air was heavy with heat and greed. Everyone had something to sell. But today something very different had arrived. A large metal cage rolled into the center of the market square. 4 armed guards stood on each side. They wore black armor, and their weapons were ready. The crowd began to gather around the cage, curious. Inside the cage was a girl. She was not like the others. She had smooth purple-blue skin, long silver hair, and glowing yellow eyes. Her arms were chained and her ankles were shackled. She wore torn, thin clothes that barely covered her body. She looked tired, but still proud, still strong. "She's the rarest one we've ever caught," shouted the auctioneer, a green-scaled alien with sharp teeth and a golden cloak. "A luxury slave, a perfect body, a voice like music, a rare mix of 3 royal bloodlines." The crowd gasped. Many leaned in closer. Some started shouting prices immediately. 200 credits, 500, 1,000, I want her. The bidding was fast and wild. Rich aliens in fine robes threw out offers. One warlord even pulled out a box of red diamonds. 2 others almost fought, pushing each other and screaming in different languages. The girl inside the cage stayed quiet. She looked around, but her face showed no fear, only anger. Deep, burning anger. Her eyes locked on the crowd, then paused. On one face, a human. He stood far from the cage, arms crossed. He wore simple clothes, dusty pants, a worn jacket, and a scarf around his neck. His face was calm, unreadable. His name was Jace. He said nothing. He did not shout or raise a hand. He just watched. The auctioneer noticed him. "You there, human, want to join the bidding? We don't get many of your kind here. She'd be soft in your arms." Laughter broke out in the crowd, but Jace didn't smile. He just stared at the auctioneer, then looked back at the girl in the cage. She stared at him too. Their eyes met. Something silent passed between them. Something the others didn't see, the auctioneer went on. "Come on, everyone, she's strong, trained, untouched. A royal slave like this could serve you for a lifetime." Jace finally spoke. His voice was low but clear. "What's her name?" The auctioneer blinked. "Name? What does that matter?" "She's a product." Jace's voice grew colder. "You didn't answer." The crowd quieted. The tension shifted. The auctioneer forced a smile. "Fine. They say her name is Solari. That's what she screamed when we caught her. But it doesn't matter now. She belongs to the market. Solari." That name made Jace's jaw tighten. He looked around. The crowd didn't care about her name. They just wanted to own her, use her, show her off. But Jace saw something else. He didn't see a slave. He saw a girl who was stolen. A girl who still had fight in her. A girl who deserved better. Sold. Shouted. The auctioneer suddenly pointing to a rich alien with golden skin and 12 fingers. The offer had been over 10,000 credits. The cage started to move again. The crowd cheered. But Solari didn't look at the buyer. She kept her eyes on Jace. And Jace? He turned, slowly walked away, but not far, because he wasn't finished yet. Not even close. The sun dipped behind the rust-colored towers of the alien market as the crowd began to thin. Guards dragged the girl, Solari, back into the inner chambers of the market compound. Her chains clinked with every step, but her back stayed straight. Her eyes stayed sharp. In the shadows, the human still watched. Jace didn't follow the crowd. He waited until the chaos quieted. He moved like smoke. Silent, smooth. He wasn't like the other aliens. He wasn't loud or greedy. He didn't wear armor or carry flashy weapons, but he was dangerous. He walked through narrow alleys, stepping over trash, avoiding drunk traders. He found a metal wall, pressed a small device to it. A soft beep. A hidden panel slid open. He slipped inside. This wasn't his first visit to this market. Inside the walls, everything was different. There were guards, cameras, laser traps. But Jace knew the paths. He had walked them years ago when he worked here as a smuggler, before he changed, before he walked away from this life. But now he was back. Not for gold, not for revenge, for a girl in chains. Jace crouched behind a stack of crates. He pulled out a small scanner from his jacket and tapped it. A map of the compound lit up in green. He zoomed in. Cell 17B, that's where she was now. He moved quickly, silent like a shadow, past guards, under cameras. He reached a back hallway, with metal doors on both sides. Each one held someone broken. But 17B was different. Jace pressed his hand on the panel. The lock blinked. He waited. Then, click. It opened. Inside, Solari sat on the floor, her knees pulled to her chest. Her long silver hair fell over her face. She didn't look up at first. Then she spoke, her voice quiet but sharp. Come to take a closer look, human? Or make an offer like the rest? Jace stepped in slowly and closed the door behind him. No, I'm not here to buy you. She looked up. Her yellow eyes narrowed. Then why are you here? To ask a question? She tilted her head. One? Who took you? Her body stiffened. Jace waited. Finally, she whispered. They came in the night. My guards were drugged. My sister was away. I woke in chains. They covered my face. When I saw light again, I was here. Jace nodded. You're not just some slave. I read the signs on your skin, the marks behind your ears. You're from the House of Viralis, royal blood. Solari's eyes widened. You know that name? I used to work near your system, Jace said. Long ago, I knew your people. Peaceful. Proud. Why would someone kidnap you? Solari looked away. Because I was about to sign a peace treaty. My family trusted me. The first royal daughter to join the Galactic Union. If I disappeared, the treaty would die with me. Jace stepped closer, kneeling beside her. So this wasn't just slavery, it was sabotage. She nodded once. And now, they'll parade me around until some warlord breaks me. I'll become a toy, a message, a trophy. Silence filled the cell. Then Jace said something that shocked her. I'm going to get you out. Solari blinked. You? Why? You're just a human trader. You didn't even bid. Exactly, Jace said. I came to watch, to learn. I've seen this market ruin lives. But you're different. If they turn you into a slave, war will follow. But if you go home, alive, it changes everything. Solari looked at him for a long time. What's your name? She finally asked. Jace. She hesitated. Then softly, thank you. Jace. Suddenly, the lock on the door blinked red. A voice barked from outside. Unauthorized access. Step out. Now. Jace grabbed Solari's hand. Do exactly as I say. He tapped a button on his jacket. A tiny explosion rang out in the hallway, just loud enough to distract the guards. They ran, through dark halls, past blinking lights, down steel staircases. Guards shouted behind them. They reached a vent near the outer wall. Jace yanked it open. Go, he said. Solari crawled inside. Jace followed. They moved through the vent in silence until they reached the other side of the market. Hidden. Free. For now. They lay in the dark, breathing hard. Solari turned to Jace. I still don't understand. Why help me? Jace looked at the stars through the cracks above them. Because, he said softly, no one should be sold. Not you. Not anyone. The night was quiet outside the market. Far from the noisy lights, Jace and Solari rested in a dark, half-broken warehouse. Dust covered the floor. Broken crates were stacked in corners. Through a hole in the ceiling, stars blinked down at them like curious eyes. Solari sat in silence. Her wrists were still red from the chains. Her silver hair hung over her shoulders and her yellow eyes were sharp, alert. She didn't speak for a long time. Jace sat nearby, checking a small device in his palm. It showed the market's patrol. Out. How many guards, how often they checked the gates. We have until sunrise, Jace said. Solari looked at him. And then? Then they'll search every street for us. We need to leave the city before then. She nodded. But her mind was elsewhere. Suddenly she asked, How did you know who I am? Jace glanced up. Your back, the royal tattoo. It's mostly faded, but I've seen it before. On a diplomat from your world. Same symbol, same position. You have good eyes for a smuggler. I wasn't always a smuggler, he replied. Once I was a soldier, until I saw too much. Solari leaned back against the cold wall. You risked your life to help. Me. You don't even know me. I didn't have to, Jace said. I saw what they did to you. I saw the fire in your eyes. I knew you weren't meant to be a prisoner. A small silence fell between them. Then Solari spoke again. Her voice, softer. There's something I didn't tell you, something important. Jace looked at her closely. I'm not just a royal daughter, she said. I was carrying something when they captured me, something they didn't find. Jace narrowed his eyes. What is it? Solari slowly reached into her torn clothes and pulled out a tiny metallic pendant, no bigger than a coin. It shimmered faintly in the dim light. This holds a recording, she said. My message to the Galactic Council, the treaty I was supposed to sign, the agreements, everything. If I bring this back home, war can still be stopped. Jace stared at the pendant. They searched you, didn't they? She nodded. Yes, but I hid it under my skin. He raised his eyebrows. That's risky. I didn't care. If I died, the message would still be with me. Jace nodded slowly. Then this isn't just about freeing you. We're carrying the hope of your world. She held out the pendant. I need you to keep this safe, she said. Jace took it and placed it carefully in a hidden pocket inside his jacket. He tapped it twice to activate the encryption lock. It lit up, then faded. You can trust me, he said. I already am, she replied. Suddenly, Jace's scanner beeped. Red lights blinked on the screen. Damn, he muttered. They're searching the old zones already. That's faster than I expected. He stood up. We have to move. Now? Solari nodded and pulled herself up. Her legs were still weak, but she didn't complain. Jace led her through a hole in the back wall into the cold night air. The city's lower levels were quiet. Only a few alien beggars and drunks wandered nearby. They moved fast, staying in shadows. At one point, they passed a group of guards searching another warehouse. Solari froze. Jace quickly reached out and pulled her into a narrow alley. He wrapped his arm around her and whispered, Stay close. Don't breathe loud. She pressed against him, her heart pounding. The guards passed by, never seeing them. When the danger was gone, Solari let out a shaky breath. That was close. Too close, Jace agreed. We need a safe place to rest before we reach the spaceport. I know one, Solari said. A healer helped me once. She lives in the broken tower near the south wall. You trust her? I saved her daughter during a plague. She owes me her life. Jace nodded. Then let's go. As they walked, Solari suddenly stopped. What is it? Jace asked. She looked up at him. You never told me why you left being a soldier. Jace paused, then looked away. Because I followed orders, and innocent people died. Women, children, people like you. I told myself I was doing the right thing, but one day I looked in the mirror, and I hated the man staring back. Solari's voice was soft. You're not that man now. Jace gave a small smile. I hope not. They moved again. Two strangers now bonded by pain, trust, and a mission bigger than themselves. And in her heart, Solari knew something had changed. She was no longer just trying to survive. She was trying to reach home, with the help of the only being in that cursed market who saw her not as a prize, but as a person. The healer's home was hidden deep inside the ruins of a fallen tower. The upper levels had collapsed long ago, but the basement chambers still worked, Dark, damp but safe. Jace and Solari crouched low as they reached the tower's back door. A small scanner beeped on the wall. Solari placed her palm on it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door clicked open. Inside, the air smelled of herbs and old metal. A thin alien woman, with glowing green eyes and long gray fingers, stepped into the light. She looked shocked at first. Then her expression softened when she saw Solari. "Child," the woman whispered. "By the stars, they said you were dead." "Not yet," Solari said with a faint smile. "Can we stay?" The healer looked over at Jace, cautious. But Solari spoke firmly. "He saved me." The woman nodded slowly. "Then come in." They followed her into a narrow room with stone walls and soft floor mats. Solari sat with a sigh. Jace stood by the door, always alert. The healer began treating Solari's wrists. "The chains cut deep," she muttered. "They wanted to keep you broken." "I stayed angry," Solari replied. "Anger kept me standing." Jace leaned against the wall. "We don't have much time. The spaceport is locked down. They've raised security. If we try to walk in, they'll spot us." The healer looked at him. "So you came for more than medicine?" Jace nodded. "We need a way out." Quietly, the healer turned away. "There's only one path, but it's dangerous." Solari sat up straighter. "What is it?" "There's an old tunnel beneath the East Market wall," the healer said, "used by smugglers before the patrols increased. But now, it's guarded by the Crimson Watch." Solari frowned. "Mercenaries?" Jace answered. "Worse, hired killers. They guard the tunnel and let no one through unless paid in blood." Solari looked at Jace. "Then we pay." He shook his head. "It's not that simple. They don't want money. They want something to fight for fun, someone to bleed." The healer hesitated. "There is one way. Their captain has strange tastes. He collects rare beings, makes them fight for his amusement." Jace's eyes narrowed. "You want me to offer myself?" Solari stood quickly. "No, you've risked too much already." But Jace only looked at her. "What's the other option? They keep you locked in a cell again? Break you down until that pendant never sees the light of day?" Solari clenched her fists. "There must be another way." Jace stepped forward, voice calm. "Let me do this. I'll distract them, get their attention. While I fight, you go through the tunnel with the healer's help." Solari stared at him. "You'll die." "Maybe," he said, "but I'll die for something that matters." The healer handed him a small case. Inside was a silver injection gun. "This," she said, "will boost your strength for 30 minutes. After that, it will drain you." Jace nodded. 30 minutes is enough." Solari grabbed his arm. "I won't leave without you." "You must," Jace said. "Your people need you. That message needs to reach the council. If you die here, they win." He took out the pendant from his jacket and placed it in her hands. "You carry hope," he said softly. "I'm just the one clearing the road." Solari looked down at the pendant, then back at him. Her voice shook. "Then I'll wait for you on the other side." By nightfall, Jace stood at the edge of the tunnel zone. Fires burned in barrels. Crimson Watch soldiers drank and laughed. The captain, a large beast-like alien with metal plates across his chest, stood in the middle of a circle. He pointed at Jace. "You, human, what do you want?" Jace stepped forward calmly. "A fight." Laughter exploded across the camp. "You?" The captain growled. "You think you can impress me?" Jace threw down a small blade. "Not trying to impress, just trying to pass." The captain's eyes glowed. "Then fight, bleed, survive. If you win, your girl goes free." "She's not my girl," Jace said coldly. "She's a queen." The crowd roared as the fight began. Deep below, in the hidden tunnel, Solari waited with the healer, heart pounding. The sound of cheering and weapons clashing echoed above. She gripped the pendant tightly. Every second felt like a lifetime. And in that dark place, surrounded by stone and shadows, Solari whispered a vow. Live, Jace. Please. Live. The arena wasn't large, but it was brutal. A broken circle of cracked stone surrounded by hungry eyes and cheering monsters. The Crimson Watch's private ring was soaked with dried blood. Bones littered the corners. Firelight flickered off, rusted blades hanging on the walls. Jace stood alone in the center. He had no armor, no shield, only 2 short blades strapped to his sides, and the injection the healer gave him pulsing through his veins. Around him, alien fighters roared from behind the gates. Some had horns, others claws. One had metal arms like hammers. All of them were bigger than him. The crowd above laughed and banged their cups. But Jace didn't flinch. He watched, measured, waited. From the top seat, the Crimson Watch captain stood up and spread his arms. His voice was deep and proud. Tonight, this tiny human dares to challenge our might. He thinks he can bleed for passage. Let's see how long he lasts. The crowd howled. A loud buzzer echoed through the ring. The first gate opened. A tall reptilian beast ran into the arena, its jaws dripping with venom. It wore bone armor and carried a jagged spear. It charged straight at Jace, screaming. Jace didn't move until the last second. Then, whoosh, he ducked low, rolled sideways and slashed the beast's leg. The alien roared in pain. Before it could turn, Jace spun behind it and stabbed upward, right through the neck. Blood sprayed. The crowd gasped. The first fighter dropped, twitching. Silence, then wild cheering. Jace stood still, chest rising with slow breaths. He knew this was only the beginning. Meanwhile, deep in the smuggler's tunnel, Solari and the healer continued to move through the dark, narrow passage. The ground was damp. The air was heavy with dust. Solari kept looking back. The tunnel seemed endless. Her heart raced with every echo of noise from above. The healer touched her arm. You must stay focused. He's buying your time. Don't waste it. I didn't ask him to fight, Solari whispered. No, the healer said. But he chose to. Solari clenched her fists. I won't leave without him. Back in the arena, Gate 2 opened. This time, twin creatures emerged. 4 armed warriors with glowing red eyes and chains wrapped around their fists. They circled Jace like hunters moving in sync. The injection was still working. Jace felt light, fast, sharp. One lunged. He blocked the first blow and kicked the creature in the chest. It stumbled. The second grabbed his arm. Jace twisted, broke, free, and slammed his elbow into the alien's throat. They kept coming. But Jace moved like fire. Burning, dancing, impossible to catch. Minutes later, both lay at his feet. Bruised, broken, unmoving. Jace fell to one knee. He was bleeding now. His arm throbbed. The boost in his blood was fading, but he looked up, calm, ready. The captain laughed. You are full of surprises, human, but you will fall next. Solari and the healer reached the last part of the tunnel. A metal grate blocked the end. Faint city lights flickered beyond it. We're close, the healer said. Solari turned to go back. What are you doing? The healer asked sharply. I'm not leaving him behind. He gave me this chance. Now I give him one. She tapped her comm chip. One Jace had slipped her before the fight. A tiny red dot blinked. She could see him. Still alive. Still in the fight. Above, in the ring, the final gate opened. The biggest fighter yet stepped forward. A war beast. 8 feet tall, covered in black fur and holding a plasma axe. Its face was hidden behind a skull mask. The crowd went quiet. Even Jace paused. He could barely stand now. His breath was short. Blood dripped from his side. But he raised his blade again. The beast roared and charged. Their clash was thunder. The axe came down. Jace blocked, barely. Sparks flew. His knees buckled. The second strike knocked him back. He hit the ground hard. The beast lifted the axe for a killing blow. Suddenly, bang! A blast rang out from the gate entrance. Smoke filled the ring. Figures rushed in. Solari. She held a stolen blaster. Her chains gone. Behind her, the healer disabled the gate controls. Guards shouted. The crowd screamed. Solari ran to Jace's side, pulled him up. "You're insane," she said, voice shaking. He gave a weak smile. "Took you long enough." Together they ran. Shots flew. The crowd scattered. By the time the Crimson Watch could regroup, the two were gone, vanished into the night, leaving blood and chaos behind. The city was burning behind them. Sirens screamed in the sky. Patrol ships flew in every direction. The Crimson Watch was in full panic. Their arena was in ruins, their champion defeated, their prisoner gone. But Jace and Solari didn't stop to look back. They ran through narrow alleys, past glowing street, signs and silent machines until they reached an old docking yard. Jace's steps were shaky. His side bled badly. Solari held him up with one arm, dragging him toward a rusty ship parked in a dark corner. The ship was small, an old smuggler's craft, but it was still working. Jace pressed his thumb to the A. Control panel. Beep. The ramp lowered with a hiss. They stumbled inside. The door sealed behind them. Solari guided him to the pilot's chair. He collapsed into it, breathing hard. "You're losing blood," she said. He gave a weak smile. "Better than losing you." Solari looked at him for a long moment. Then she took a deep breath. "There's something you still don't know, Jace." He raised an eyebrow. She reached into her shirt and pulled out the pendant again. But this time she did something different. She pressed her thumb into the center. The pendant lit up. A soft light floated above them, a projection. A glowing map of the galaxy surrounded by alien symbols. Then it zoomed in on one system. Tiveron 3. "That's my home," she said. "The royal planet of my people, but I was never meant to be queen." Jace frowned. "You're the firstborn, daughter." "Yes," she nodded. "But I was born to a secret bloodline. My father had two mates, one public, one private. I'm from the second." Jace blinked. "You're a hidden heir." "Yes," she said. "And my existence threatened. The council. If I returned home and claimed my birthright, it would shift the balance of power. I wasn't just taken to stop a treaty. I was taken to erase a future." The projection shifted. Now it showed a face, an alien male with golden skin and sharp silver eyes. "That's Lord Harith," she said. "He rules the market from the shadows. He pretended to be a peace broker, but he was behind my abduction." Jace clenched his fists. Solari touched his arm. "He'll come for me again. He'll never stop. As long as I live, I'm a threat." "Then we make sure you're not hiding anymore," Jace said. "We go straight to your people, public, loud, no more shadows." Solari looked at the map again. "If we take this message to the Galactic Union and prove Harith's betrayal, they'll protect me, they'll support my claim." Jace nodded. "And I'll make sure you get there." Suddenly the ship shook. Boom! Lights flickered. An alarm buzzed. Solari rushed to the controls. "Someone's locking onto us from the outer zone." Jace pushed himself up. "They followed us." Another blast hit the rear. "We can't fly through them," Solari shouted. Jace slid into the gunner seat. "Then we shoot back." He pressed the controls. The ship's cannons hummed to life. Outside, two black hunter ships circled. Their engines were sleek, deadly, marked with the Crimson Watch's blood-red symbol. Jace fired. One ship dodged. The other was hit in the wing, spinning, down into the wreck yard. Solari turned the ship sharply. "Hold on!" They soared through wreckage, dodging metal towers and half-buried engines. Jace fired again, this time both cannons. Boom! The second hunter ship exploded in flames. Silence returned. Solari exhaled. "We did it." Jace slumped back in his seat. "Let's get off this planet before someone else comes knocking." She nodded. Course set for Tiveron 3. The ship jumped into light speed. Hours later, as the stars blurred outside the window, Jace lay on a cot in the back room. His wounds were patched, his breathing steady. Solari sat beside him, staring at the pendant. glowing in her hands. She had spent her life preparing for duty, for war, for silence. But this human, this strange, reckless, kind human, had done what no one else dared. He hadn't bought her. He hadn't used her. He had fought for her, bled for her, believed in her. She brushed his hair back gently and whispered, "When we land, they'll see who I really am." Jace opened one eye. "Good. Just make sure they don't shoot me." She laughed softly. "I'll tell them you're my hero." He grinned. Not a bad title. And somewhere beyond the stars, destiny waited, but this time they would choose it, together. The stars faded as the ship dropped out of hyperspace. Before them lay Tiveron 3, a glowing world of golden clouds and floating crystal cities. Massive tree palaces rose from emerald canyons, shining with light. This was a royal world, untouched by war, but ruled by silence. Solari stood at the window, eyes wide. It had been so long since she'd seen home. Her heart beat fast, but fear sat quietly inside her chest. "They think I'm dead," she whispered. Jace stood beside her, arms crossed. "Then let's surprise them." They landed at a private port far from the royal palace. Guards rushed to the ship with weapons drawn, ready to arrest, ready to kill. But Solari stepped down first. The guards froze. She was dressed in simple traveler's robes, her hair still messy, her wrists still scarred, but her eyes were fire. "I am Solari of House Viralis," she declared. "I bring proof of betrayal and truth of my bloodline. Take me to the council, now." The guards hesitated. Then one dropped to one knee. The others followed. Jace smiled slightly from behind her. "Told you they'd remember you." Inside the Grand Council chamber, the royal lords and nobles gathered. They sat on high chairs, looking down with cold eyes. At their center sat High Matron Ysada, Solari's father's first wife, and ruler in Solari's absence. "So," the matron said, voice calm, "the ghost returns." Solari stepped forward. "I was taken, sold in chains, left to be forgotten." "Why, return now?" the matron asked. "Because I carry the message meant for the Galactic Union. Because I survived the market. Because I found someone who believed in my truth." She turned to Jace. He said nothing, just watched her with quiet pride. Solari raised the pendant. It lit the room. The message played, her last royal statement recorded before she was kidnapped. Her voice echoed through the chamber. Strong, royal, true, gasps filled the air. "She's the rightful heir. She carries the treaty. She survived the Crimson Watch." Eyes turned to the matron. Silence. Then the matron stood. Her face was unreadable. "I see now," she said softly. "Blood speaks. Destiny returns." She walked to Solari, paused, and slowly bowed. One by one, the council followed. Jace looked away. He didn't like politics, but Solari turned to him. "I'm not done." She faced the chamber. "One more truth," she said. "This man, this human, risked everything for me. Not for power, not for gold, but for what was right. I ask that he be granted safety." "And more," the council murmured. Solari stepped closer to Jace. "I ask that he stand at my side, not as a guard, not as a servant, but as my equal." Jace blinked. "Wait, what?" Solari smiled. "You took me home, Jace, not as a slave, not as a prize, but as a person, as a woman, as a leader." She took his hand. "You saw me, and now I see you." The chamber held its breath. Then the matron spoke. "Then let it be written." Later, on a balcony overlooking the city, Jace stood alone. Solari came up behind him. "You okay?" she asked. He nodded. "Just never thought I'd end up here." She laughed softly. "Neither did I." They stood in silence, watching ships fly through glowing clouds. "You don't have to stay," she said gently. "You could return to your world. Leave all this behind." He looked at her. "I could," he said, "but I won't." They all made offers. They shouted prices, fought for a rare beauty in chains. But only one human saw her worth before the gold. Only one took her hand and gave her freedom. And in return, she gave him something no one else in the galaxy could: her heart.